While I was playing Osu a couple days back with my friend Kuba and sucking horribly at it, I pondered. In my rage-induced haze, I tried thinking happy thoughts, and being an anime fan, naturally my brain stumbled onto anime, and so the topic got brought up between us. As we talked about some old, new, and/or obscure anime, a memory from my childhood came up. One that I didn't think of for a long time, but I was very happy to remember. Afro Samurai. Well, let's begin. The basic story is that in this world where somehow old matchlock guns exist with somewhat futuristic phones, there's a man named Afro. However, before I go any further, let me just say that Afro Samurai doesn't pull any punches. Within the first couple of minutes of the first episode, you're treated to a katana and revolver duel in which Afro, who's a child at this point, watches his father lose his head and have to take it with him while getting no help from the villagers he passes by. Yeah, this one is brutal. Now, the reason Afro's father gets killed is because he was wearing what is called the number one headband, which is essentially just a normal white headband with writing on it, but in this world, it's prophesied that if you own the number one headband, you get to rule the world as a god, and you can imagine this attracts all sorts of dangerous kinds of people. In order to get the headband, you need only beat the current holder of the number one headband. Sounds simple, right? Yeah, not so much. To definitively and rightfully challenge the owner of the number one headband, you must first be the owner of the number two headband, which is sort of like competing in the semi-final, as you have to fight for the number two before going for the number one. Don't worry, it doesn't get any more convoluted than this. To put it simply, you get the number two headband to get the number one headband, and rule the world. Anyone can challenge the owner of the number two, but only the owner of the number two can challenge the owner of the number one. Got it? Good. Now, Afro's father, who is the holder of the number one at the beginning of the series, gets killed by a revolver-wielding cowboy called Justice, who had the number two headband. However, he spares Afro, challenges him to a fight once he gets stronger, and even gives him the number two headband, as he don't really need the second one after obtaining the first. But Afro, being a child at this point, gets beat up for it and is left alone until a mysterious man, simply called Swordmaster, comes to help him. Creative name, I know. He nurses Afro back to health, welcomes him into the family of orphans, and so the tale of Afro Samurai begins. Finally, now we can get to the fun stuff. Let me say this right now. If you're not a fan of blood and gore in anime, don't watch this one. As almost every fight ends with someone getting cut to pieces, but god damn if the action isn't amazing. Oh, and let's not forget that Afro is voiced by the one and only Samuel Jackson. He also voices a character called Ninja Ninja in the series, who is theorized to be Afro's imaginary friend, who helps him throughout the series and was Afro's way of dealing with trauma in his life. Or at least I think so. Some people say he's an actual person, while others say he's just a figment of Afro's mind, but whatever. Samuel Jackson does a great job of voicing both of these main characters, and it's exactly why I would highly suggest you watch the dub. It's not every day you get to listen to a guy like Samuel Jackson voice a character in anime. Who knows, this could be a great gateway to start watching anime if you're not a big fan of anime in general, as it has a nice western feel and, man, the music. An amazing mix of rap and hip-hop for sure. The show has great pacing, putting both action and story in exactly the right places, and it doesn't have too many characters for the first season, so it doesn't get convoluted or confusing to tell who's who. It does a nice job of bringing back characters from the beginning, in a way that it doesn't feel boring to see them again, which is sometimes what I get annoyed at in other shows. I do have to mention, however, due to the fact that the first season is only about 5 episodes long and has a slightly different story point to the sequel, Afro Samurai Resurrections, you don't get as much of an emotional connection to certain characters as the show might want you to. For 5 episodes, it does cover a lot of stuff, which is impressive, but also sort of a downfall in a way. But otherwise, it's a great show. this really is somewhat of a must-watch, even if you're not a fan of some of the themes, as it brings humor, story, and action to a new level sometimes. It's one of those big things in small packages type of deals. As for the sequel, I won't talk much about it as I don't recall it as much as the first season, maybe because I found the sequel to be a bit boring, but I do remember the action being just as good, so if you do enjoy the first season, then go give Afro Samurai Resurrections a watch. Like in my last review, where I said there was a movie, for this one there's actually a game you can play, and a really good one at that. It might be hard to play as it came out on the Xbox 360 and the PS3 if I remember correctly, but you can do stuff like cut bullets into tiny pieces like Afro does in the anime, if you time it correctly. You even get the iconic Afro vs Afro droid that's in the anime where they fight mid-air, and personally, it's my favorite part in both the anime and the game. So, let's get into the rating. For the story, I'd give it a 7 out of 10. It's not super long, it's not convoluted, but it's presented well, but there might be some things you question every now and then. The characters get a good 8 out of 10. I absolutely love Afro and his friend Ninja, and the way they work well together as characters, even with their different personalities, and the other characters in the series are good in their own way as well. Action and music get an amazing 9 out of 10. It's good action all the way through, with the animation looking clean, and the music is just another level of good. I think the reason I can really appreciate it in this one is because it's Western inspired compared to a lot of other anime, and it works perfectly here. Oh, and even the music in the game is good. Alright, overall I'd give the anime a 8 out of 10. I know I gave Gurren Lagann the same overall rating, but thinking back, Gurren Lagann is more like a 9. I just didn't know how I'd rate things on this channel yet, but it'd be a crime not to give Afro Samurai at least an 8. But yeah, it has a lot of great things. I wish there was more of Afro Samurai rather than the first season and Resurrections, but I don't think that's going to happen. Even the game won't get another sequel it seems, due to the bad rating of the second Afro Samurai game, but give it a watch. Whether you're new to anime or an avid watcher, this is a great watch. Alright, well, this is the end of the video. I'm doing another bit at the end here like I did for Gurren Lagann for 3 main reasons. The first one being an apology for the bad quality clips. The problem with reviewing older anime is that a lot of the clips that you'll find, that I'll find anyways, are quite low quality. And because of the way that I get them and use them, it's not really possible for me to have higher quality clips. I've tried different ways and it still hasn't really helped. And also, it's the fact that me and Kuba are kinda new to this, you know? So you're gonna have to forgive that. So apologies, we'll try and make it better for the next videos, but for this one, it's gonna be low quality. Secondly, I'd like to mention the fact that in Kuba's review of Overlord, we had a large number of pretty much our video being in people's recommended. Now, we're really happy to see this, and there's only one thing I'd like to say. You know, if you leave a like or comment or even subscribe, it lets us know that you're watching and you enjoy what we're making. And once we know that, we can continue to make these videos. We'll be more motivated to make these videos. Of course, we'll still make them anyways because we enjoy doing this. But even something as simple as a like or a comment lets us know that you're having fun while watching. And if you have some kind of problem with the review, then you can always just pop something in the comments. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. We want to improve, so please, you know, if you could like, comment, or subscribe, then please do so. And finally, Kuba will be doing a review of Shield Hero for the next video. So get excited for that one. Alright, that's about it. Peace.